Hello, and welcome to our new Ask an Arborist series where we will be answering your questions about trees here in the City of Seattle. My name is Charlie, and I work for Forterra, where I partner with the City of Seattle to coordinate the Tree Ambassador program. We work with Seattle residents to care for, learn about, and appreciate the trees growing here in our urban forest. Today, I am joined by two of my friends and colleagues.
Hi, my name is Lou Stubecki, and I'm an arborist with Trees for Seattle.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Helms, and I'm a district arborist at Seattle Department of Transportation.
Great, thank you so much for joining us today. Well, let's get started with our first ever question. This comes from Nicole, who lives in Northgate, and she asks, there are lots of maple trees planted along the city streets in Seattle, but they are all species not from this region. Why doesn't Seattle plant more of our beautiful native bigleaf maples as street trees?
Well, let me first start by saying that I love bigleaf maples too. When I first started working as an arborist here, that was one of the trees I climbed most often when I worked at the Arboretum, and I really love it. But I will say, when we're discussing the value of native trees versus non-native trees, one thing we need to keep in mind is that planting strips are not native environments. They are pretty hostile environments for trees, so especially our native trees. There's a lot of infrastructure that surrounds them. They have limited soil volume, and so our native trees are not well set up in those urban environments.
Well, some non-native trees that are planted around the city can tolerate poor nutrient levels in the soil and soil compaction. And sometimes they're even chosen for high salinity conditions that are caused by road salt applications. So, soil condition is very, very important when choosing any tree for that space, whether it's native or non-native.
So another thing with bigleaf maples, why they're not suitable for street trees in some situations, well, to keep in mind, they actually are suitable in limited situations, because they do need a lot of soil volume. You would need a planting strip that was at least 10 feet wide and quite a bit in length to be able to plant a bigleaf maple. And of course, you would need no overhead wires as well. High voltage wires couldn't be present because it's such a tall tree. So given that, if we could provide that space, that might help.
Soils aside, even if you do have a large planting strip, and even if you actually amend that soil, impervious surfaces such as concrete for sidewalks and roads and buildings, they absorb and radiate as well as reflect a lot of that heat. So a tree like a bigleaf maple surrounded by hardscape in like a downtown area or a very highly built up area will make it so that tree really leads a stressed life and will require a lot of maintenance and TLC to make it so it's actually has a happy life. It can give back all of those ecological benefits that we value in native trees. So we want to give those trees a chance to survive instead of setting them up in an area where they will decline.
Lou, I have a question. I know that there are a lot of cultivars or varieties of tree species that are especially bred to withstand the harsh conditions of growing along a street. Are you familiar with any bigleaf maple cultivars that would make good street trees?
Yeah, there is one. It's called Seattle Sentinel, and they have one at the Washington Park Arboretum. When I worked there, people would request cuttings from it, nurseries from around the country, and also other arboreta and public gardens so that they could grow it. I'll be honest with you, I've been hoping to see it on a street tree or on a planting list, on a nursery's availability list, and I have not seen it. But it is one that's out there, Seattle Sentinel.
I'm definitely going to check that out next time I'm there. I've also heard that the city of Seattle has just been trying to plant fewer maples in general. Is this true? Stephanie, can you speak to this?
Sure, we're encouraging planting diversification. You don't want more than about 20% of any one genus in an area. And that's because if we have, say, an invasive insect that feeds primarily on maples, or if you have a disease that primarily affects maples, all of a sudden you're going to be dealing with a lot of canopy loss. So not only is it a bit more fun to walk down the street and look at a bunch of different trees, but also make sure that if you have a pretty catastrophic event like that, that you're not seeing entire corridors treeless anymore. And so and that also really plays into cost for replanting as well. So it's better for our urban tree canopy and better for the budget and better for our eyes if we have multiple types of trees in the right of way.
Well, it does make for a more interesting walk. Thanks so much for your question, Nicole, and thank you all for joining us today. If any of you have a question for a future video, please email us. Also, go check out our website. There you can learn more about our Trees for Neighborhoods tree giveaway program. You can find some tree walks of your local neighborhood, and you can learn about how you can become a tree ambassador yourself. Thanks again for joining, and we will see you all out there in our urban forest.